Hello, we've come to speak about planning and highways. This is the committee, our committee for that. We have to go through the usual rigmarole of how you have a meeting, and then we will get to your part of the meeting, and we will ask three of you to come up, just talk and tell us what you want to say about the closure of the roads around Francis Baily School. That's why you're all here, isn't it? Right. Okay, so we're starting with apologies for absence.
Okay. Apologies for absence received from Chairman Simon Pike, with yourself, Watts as Chair, and apologies also received from Councillor Baily with Councillor Stephanie Stevenson substituting.
And does anybody have a declaration of interest in any of the items that we're going to talk about? No, it's us, it's all right, don't worry.
We know you're
Yes, we know. Different sort of interest. Anybody? No? Right. And we've got the next item 3 is minutes. They're the minutes of the previous meeting. I'm not going to read them out. I propose we accept them.
Great.
Yeah, good, great. Thank you.
Would you like to take both?
Those in favour.
Oh, those in favour, sorry. And Trudy, do you have any matters of arising from the previous meeting?
Only that when we were at the last meeting, members discussed the West Berkshire winter service plan, and members asked whether some checks could be made on the grip links currently the Thatcham Town Council. And just to report back that they are regularly, it's part of the officers' checks, and they are regularly maintained. So it was just.
Do any of the members have any thing to say of any matters arising from the previous meeting? Right, we're on to item number 5 then, and that's Council on Street electric vehicle charge point installation. It's going to be allocated at Malham Road and Stroller Road in Thatcham. There are other places, but they're not actually in Thatcham. And because West Berks have signed a contract with Ubitricity for electric car charging on the streets. And they're supposed to be, the charge points will be housed in standard bollards with an underground connection to the nearest lighting column.
Sorry, may I just add a little bit to this?
Yeah.
The officer concerned sent information because Malham Road
Yeah.
is in my ward and Councillor Cottingham's ward.
Yeah.
And we'd already discussed some parking issues in that road with residents. So he and I were in communication with the officer, who decided to speak to local residents in that road, neighbours of the person who has requested this on-street vehicle charging point. It is not a destination charging point for you and I and everybody else. It's the first of a series of street charging points that will be put in for residents who have electric vehicles and have no access to their own drives to charge their vehicles. And I understand from sending out letters, he has received numerous phone calls from people who are not happy about the choice of that road. But we've had the request from a resident of that road. I think this may be the first of many occasions when this is going to come up. You can't please everybody all of the time.
Of course not.
So at the moment, no decision has finally been made. There was a plan, I think, in the original sheet to put 2 in Malham Road. We suggested one
Yes,
might
we've
go
got
in.
2 in Malham and there's 2 in Stroller.
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm only dealing with Malham, I'm afraid,
Yeah,
not
that's
Stroller.
fine, I
But
understand.
the idea was perhaps to move one of them out into Churchgate, but that's proved impossible because the place he wanted to put it in, the officer, turns out to be a private supply of electricity.
Oh, that doesn't work then.
So can I just say then, it's all in the air for Malham Road.
Thank you very much. Yes, sorry, I do apologise.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm curious about how residents would be able to object or put in their comments. Malham Road is quite a small one by Great Long Court.
Yes.
There are some parking difficulties down there already.
Yes.
So how would a resident be able to say this really isn't appropriate in this area for these reasons? Is this a consultation in terms of these points, the places they want to put them, Stroller as well? Or is it we're going to do it anyway because you're part of the vanguard of this process? But I'm not clear on that. Need more information, frankly. And the residents, frankly, should have been surveyed probably to say we are planning to do this in your street. Anything you would like to make us aware of? So I'm confused about. You'll get So I think I'd like to put that back to West Berkshire. I can do it myself with the Berkshire Council, but I think it's germane that it comes from here as well. How were they selected? What consultation with the residents, and how would you report on the response from the residents as well before making the final decision? I think perfectly reasonable, and we should know that.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Chair. I actually spoke to the portfolio holder for environmental services and discussed this very subject with him at least 2 or 3 months ago. And the idea is perfectly fine. I think the issue is how do you do it and how do you bring people on board? Because at the moment, the way this has been, I wouldn't say foisted onto, but brought to the attention, people seems to be completely the wrong way about it. Mm-hmm. If we're going to go down the road of introducing charging points, which I think approximately 24% of the population will not have off-street charging facilities just by the nature and design of our communities. Mm-hmm. I think we have to have a way of bringing this in, but we have to bring the public with us along that road. There's 25 being proposed here. I would certainly hope that this is not just down to some officer walking around the streets of West Berkshire saying, yeah, I like that one, that'll do, I like this, that'll do. I certainly hope it will be a lot more sophisticated than that, because all that really does is rub the residents up the wrong way for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. And if we don't get residential support for it, then it will simply just not happen, because as I understand it, the whole point of this is actually about community engagement, mm-hmm. not enforcing things on the public. So that was, and I second what Jeff was actually just saying about we should certainly write back to West Berkshire saying if people are in favour of it, which is perfectly reasonable, but where's the engagement? What's the process? Just turning up and sticking one of these bollards in anywhere they like isn't really my idea of local democracy. Mm-hmm. Sure, thank you.
Yeah. The next one is the one that you the people at the back are all interested. Oh, yes, I do apologise.
Would you like to make a proposal for me to write?
Yes, I would. Sorry, I do apologise.
Right, on the lines that I took Councillor Canner's supported. Mm-hmm. That's a proposal. You have a second, Chair.
I'm quite happy.
All those in favour?
Yeah. We've got the You got the gist of them?
Yes, I got those.
Oh, good. Right, the next one is item 6, which is all about Francis Baily school parking or non-parking and the streets. Have you got people that would like that?
You need to suspend standing orders. May I propose you suspend standing orders, Madam Vice Chairman?
And I would second that. And I'm afraid we do.
That will allow the public to speak. And while that is open, you will be able to speak. When we close it down again, we're going to get back into our own level. So, we're phoning a friend at the moment.
If you'd like to just come forward, you have minutes later to
Come forward.
Not a problem.
Is there anybody else? Yes, lady in the back.
So you're not then photoed?
Then there must be.
I recommend you have a balance if you can.
Yeah.
I think there's one lady that's.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Chair.
take a seat. That's okay, neither are we.
No.
Start on the left-hand side, perhaps, Chairman.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
You'd introduce yourself and where you are, because then we keep a record of.
Who spoke?
Directly next door to the school, so on the school yellows, goes across our driveway. Skillman, yep.
It's all about Skillman.
Well, let's get
It's the rest. Well, yeah.
And would you,
Yeah,
would you like to introduce yourself as well?
My name's.
Skillman.
Okay, that gets the formal part, then we know who's speaking and. Just for the record.
Yeah. And it's a lady here from Edwin's. That's the other road.
Okay.
Chairman, we start with Amy.
Yeah.
Couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, I am against what's been proposed and the way it's been handled. So I own a childminder business that I've run very successfully for 10 years. And I have people in the morning come into my house and it's never affected anything to do with school. They pull up on my drive, it's very swift handover from the parents and pick up. But what I oppose to is the parents, a bit like you, they park over my driveway, which stops my parents coming into our property, the abuse that we get from the parents and that the school don't do anything about it. But the main thing for me is when I asked numerous people at West Berkshire Council, including the people whose numbers were on the sign and everything, nobody knows anything about the scheme. And 2 days later, after the signs went up, we were sent a letter with some very loosey-goosey information on it, tried to get a hold of who was in charge of the scheme. We found out just from talking to our neighbours who it was. There was a lady called Cheryl Evans. We've sent her a message, but each reply that people get is just very slightly different to what somebody else has got. So nothing's set in stone. We've been told there's no consultation period apart from when the cameras go up, and it's 6 months, and then they will gauge whether we're for or against it. But I feel that once the cameras are in place, it's going to be too hard maybe to get them to retract it. So for me, I said, for instance, on a normal day, if I had 5 children there, I could have a mum drop off, a dad might need to come in the middle of the day to drop something else off that they've forgotten, and nanny might pick up. So that would be 3 permits that I would need exempt from the camera. Then the next day, granddad might drop off, nanny might pick up, stepdad might come. So I'm going to need various permits. It's not just going to be me and my husband that live there. And I've been told under no circumstances will I be allowed that many permits. And I need to change my business according to their scheme.
Right. We're taking comments.
Yeah.
And I will speak as deputy leader of West Berkshire Council, if you will let me check.
Yes, please.
And we spent a lot of time looking at this in the last couple of days.
And then Leslie.
I liked your comments earlier about the bollards and how they didn't engage with the community. They didn't engage with us at all. My understanding is that parents and school staff were consulted and asked for their opinions, but not a single resident was asked anything. The first we knew was when the signs went up. If we didn't have children that were at the school, which I don't, we have a WhatsApp group in our street and they did get information, and Liz did kindly share it with the rest of the street, but nothing directly from West Berkshire Council. My main problem with it is you are restricting who, or West Berkshire Council restricting who can come to and from my home at certain times of the day. And why should that be? There are tradespeople that like to arrive between 8 and 9 o'clock. How can they get in? My family, my children are grown up, don't live at home. For instance, my son came and stayed last week for 2 or 3 days. He was there the week before as well. He lives in Nottingham. Does that mean he's restricted? He can't come and go to his own family home because his car is not registered to our home address. It's registered to his address. My parents live in Chelmsford. They come and stay. They don't just come for the day. They stay overnight if they come. It's too much in one journey. How do I register that? How do we register people that want to deliver? You know, I don't mind if they can, West Berkshire Council can bring some mechanism whereby we can register vehicles afterwards, after they've been to our property, as genuine visitors to our properties within, say, 24 hours. You know, like you do the congestion charge, or you do, where you know, this person was generally at my home.
And Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, that sort of thing, obviously, where you can say these people should be exempt. I don't particularly, but if that's a way of getting around it, I would do it. And, you know, school have brought this problem on themselves because they have closed access between Kennet School and Francis Baily. When my children were at Francis Baily School and at Kennet School, people would walk from, you know, like other estates, and that was a way to encourage them to walk. They've also closed the A4 access or restricted it, I understand, in the mornings. And, you know, they've made it more of a problem for parents to be able to drop their children at school.
Okay.
So.
Well, I don't know where to start. I just fed up with the abuse. I live in the first quite large cul-de-sac of bungalows. I live down the bottom and there's 4. And that 4 at the bottom, their drive is private. It's not maintained by the council, but by us residents. The first bit is where they come in because that's public, because of like delivery drivers and us getting in. But the bottom half is mine and my neighbours. But if you ask the school mums not to turn around in my drive, and I just get told to F off, and it's constant. I've had them park on my neighbour's lawn, big car, 90-year-old lady, park on our lawn, and I don't want it. Now my drive's a mess. Now are the council and the school's going to retarmac it for me? Because I'm fed up with it. And I'm getting on, and it used to, well, as you see, I get related. But I get high blood pressure, but now I don't even bother to tell them. But they're so abusive, and they think they can do what they like. And mothers, well, I just don't understand them. I used to walk from Cold Ash to the top of Malham Road when my kids were little, because I don't drive. I don't even drive, I don't own a car. But it's just the fact is, they just don't care, and they come in quite fast. My neighbour paid to have a white line put in front of her thing because cars would park behind her car, so at 9 o'clock she could never get out. So, but they still do it, and they don't, and I just get abused, and I'm fed up with it because I think one of these days I'm going to punch her all the in September. You think, oh, it's slowing down a bit. Then September, you get another closed in, and they start. They get worse.
Just one more thing. Are there not alternatives? Like they haven't even tried putting in yellow lines and having a traffic warden come regularly when they're first in to try and enforce it to discourage people from parking.
Perhaps I could help facilitate this. What we're trying to do, because there's a process, this isn't actually a conversation.
No.
What we'd like to do is we could just finish the final comment, and then we have to then formally drop back in, and we can try and answer some of your questions as we go along. But because we are not the decision makers here, what we do is we will take everything you're saying on board, and then we will run it past you.
Just one more point. I did ask them what their decision-making criteria is, and I got a very woolly answer that they will just look at feedback. So I'd be interested to know what that is.
I'm going to pick up some points with my Berkshire Council hat on, the Council as well as the town. I'm learning a lot just by you talking. Thank you.
Well, yes, there's the yellow lines down the slab. I rang the council, so I thought, oh God, there's hardly any space. This woman was quite rude to me. She said, well, you shouldn't live there, should you?
Well, that's more.
Working in the council. What do you do?
If at that time you had taken a note of the time, you may not have known who you spoke to.
I wish I had.
And then get hold of your councillor who laid that.
Yeah.
We could do something about it. I'm afraid that one's long gone.
Well, yeah, but that's at the time.
Yes, this lady hasn't spoken yet.
Yes, well, Edmund Close, we don't get many cars parties because there used to be a grass opposite us, at the back of the house. So it's just a wall, and then it's just the grass, which is the pathway. They never made it, it was just grass. Everybody used to park up there, so it was just a great big mud and just great big puddles. That's all it was. It was awful. So you had enough people trying to get out in the morning, they can't get up because cars are parking there. Children, it's dangerous. You see children coming along, then the car comes, then you get knocked off their bike. So anyway, my husband went out there and he told them people were parking, didn't want parking down there because of these things, children being injured. Ambulance wanted to get through because it's the people in car conditions. They couldn't get through. Even if fire engine, the house was on fire, they couldn't get through. So where the area was all muddy, it was just a complete mud path. I found some pots in the back of the garden that I was using for, but quite big they were. And then my husband put them on with sand. I said, well, I'll just put some sprinkles of soil at the top, and then we just put flowers in. So now all that, Lizzie's husband, it's the back of Lizzie's house, this area, which was all just quite big puddle. It's all grassed over now.
I had a call with the council on that particular strip a year ago, and there was supposed to be double yellow being put down, but they just cut the poles down and don't do anything. So that's normal.
So I put pots there, and like I say, and then so 9 pots, and then all flowered with grass. And they don't get any cars because it looks really nice. The trouble is, more people are parking in the other roads now.
We're not actually making a decision. We're passing this information on to West Berkshire.
Yeah, well,
but we needed your say.
We did ask for a meeting for residents as well, and they're considering.
Watch this space, watch this space.
It will happen.
Hang on a minute. So I think, Chair, if we could really say, we go back to the
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
That was important.
And if you could take my intervention first. And then
yeah, I agree.
Can we reinstate standing orders?
Yep.
Propose reinstating standing orders.
All in favour?
Okay, so we're now going back formally into committee.
Yes, we're going back to it. So it's not done and dusted by any means. Okay. Would you like to? Sorry, yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for the residents coming tonight. I am here as a Thatcham Town Councillor, and I cannot divorce myself from being a West Berkshire Councillor either. I've looked into this to a fair degree. The government provided some money and said you might want to restrict the car drop-offs and the traffic around some of your schools. We, as a council, the council, West Berkshire, wrote to a lot of schools and said, are you interested in this school? Francis Baily was one of the ones that came back and said yes. We put together a scheme which I can see how cross you are to get that letter the day after the sign went up. And I can only apologise because that is not appropriate. And we are quite young in having taken over the council. We only took over the council 10 weeks ago. We're learning and making sure this sort of thing improves. You should have got a much more detailed letter about what it was trying to achieve, how it was going to work, answering many of your questions with an FAQ, frequently asked questions. So we could have anticipated some of the issues that you are telling us about. I wasn't aware that an access was closed between Kent and Francis Baily. I don't think that's helpful, but I don't know the circumstances.
That was the same situation.
Forgive me, let me develop my thoughts. What we have done in the last couple of days is spoken in a fairly direct manner to the Highways Department, say this went wrong, this went wrong. And you are going to get, you're going to get a few things, I think. You're certainly going to get a letter that really does explain what we're trying to achieve. FAQs, but it seems to me that, Chairman, I need to set up a meeting with you, not in this formal setting, with your councillors, Alan Jeffrey, myself, possibly Councillor Pike from here, but a number of us, probably in this room actually, but not with this restriction of a council meeting. No. When I look at, over many years, I've been a councillor for a very long time, and it comes up time and time again that around schools, it's a mess. The drop-offs around the school, the roads around the school are an absolute mess 2 times a day in terms. And what can we do to manage that? This is a scheme that's come forward, the school street scheme, to try and do just that. It is an experiment. I don't agree with the lady who said once the cameras are there, they can't be taken away. If it doesn't work, they'll be taken away. I'll give you that for some assurance. It either works, the school are pressing on with it and would like to, because they do think it would avoid all these traffic movements. Now, I would have thought local residents would have wanted to damp down all those traffic movements at the school times. I would have thought that would be something you would want to achieve. Right? Let's start with that. Let's start with that. We are trying to achieve perhaps the same objective, but we've got to do it properly. Okay, now, I'm not here to say West Berkshire Council are terrible. We've got something wrong here. We'll put it right. We'll meet with you. Okay, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, this scheme won't go in before the schools come back, of course, no point. And all of the questions you mentioned tonight, and I'm sure there are more, I'm going to be taking up. Both here in terms of this council, where we could write, like we've just done on the previous item, and said, we need some answers for the residents' benefit, but independently of that, I'm saying I'm offering you a meeting in here to properly air on a 2-way conversation, not like we've done tonight. How do we make this better? I hope that's somewhat helpful. And we certainly are listening, but I think, as I say, I will end on this, improve things. And it looks like we've got off to a bad start, but let's persevere. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's clearly support that something needs to be managed around the school. We've all been there and done that. We know enough about that. I agree with Jeff that this should not have been dropped or delivered the way it was done. I think the schools have also failed to engage with the local residents, because if they didn't know, if they knew about it, they should have been a bit more reactive to what the residents have said. Their feelings might be towards us, but I think we've heard one of a very easy way around some of the main issues, which is, what if my boiler breaks down and I need a plumber? You know, what if my food delivery people are coming those hours and stuff like that? And the carers about, absolutely, if one of your children in and your business needs a parent to pick them up during that time because the child's sick. So there needs to be a mechanism, and I think your suggestion about you can actually add a license plate to after the event to say, look, this was my plumber, this was my sparky, this was my granny coming to visit, whatever, or my son coming home. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do.
Someone's relation, the parents think, but would they be able to add those events on?
What I'm trying to do is we won't resolve it this evening.
The possibilities.
The ideas of that adding something later seems a very sensible, and I don't quite know why they haven't thought of it themselves. But I think we can maybe put some more items together when we meet in a less formal meeting and say, how can we make this work for you? Because I can guarantee if this is implemented and it doesn't work, there's lots of schools around here who'll be looking at it and hoping that it works, because they'll try and do it. And I would rather we worked with the residents now to get it as good as you can get it for you, the main people who actually live there, and take away some of these inconsiderate attitudes that people have while dropping off the children next to it. Okay, so
If we can't get results.
that's the point where we'll come into the.
No, we might need a parent.
Absolutely.
We can't actually have a conversation when we're in standing orders.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we can't.
Your answer was to really consider this letter, which I think
We're considering it,
So-
we have considered it, and you will get another meeting, the sort of meeting that you want.
This is
We've not made a decision that we're taking this.
Just to make you aware that currently Sparks are advising that when it is rolled out to park in Hereford, and so all we're doing is pushing into another road, but so you know, to carry on. Yeah.
We've got a really strong message from this evening. We are going to have to get on with the rest of the meeting.
Yes, we've got a lot of
things.
No.
They're along the way. Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. And we're not actually talking about this anymore, so if you would like to go home, you're very welcome.
I only heard of somebody else, and this lady that isn't didn't even know about the meeting.
Sorry, because we're in standing orders, we can't
talk any more about it. Sorry.
So we're now moving on to item 7 on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you for your input.
Do we have an address that's we can get on of you? Do we have a name and address to set up this meeting?
Would you like to contact inquiries at Thatcham Town Council and mention that you've been to the meeting this evening and give them your details, and then they'll forward it to me, and we can arrange. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Before we close this point,
Yes.
while notes are still being taken, I'd like to haul on board the last bit that I was going to say anyway. Yes, all you're going to do is shift the problem further afield. Parents are just going to park 2 more streets down all around. They're not going to change their journeys.
I'm going to please ask us not to jump to conclusions. I think we've got some listening to do from the other point of view.
Yes.
I really do. And what have we suffered from as councillors for so many years? It's problems around schools.
Yeah.
So
I'd
like to get some balance and to be able to come back and
I was going to say, I take your point about moving traffic from one location to another. I don't know that part of Thatcham intimately well, but what I do know is that those roads are extremely narrow.
Yes.
And they are narrower than a lot of the others, hence the reason. So clearly, based on what Jeff and Tom said, there's a lot more to discuss. I think it probably explains how we got ourselves.
Yes, true.
So before that completely closed down, what I got from that was that you wanted to arrange a meeting with the residents, and
Yes.
Right to West Berkshire Council.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think in writing to them, we've got to think about what we want to say. There are a lot of questions that are unanswered. It's possible that Owen Jeffrey might have had more answers.
Yeah, because he's not told us what. He was with a meeting, but we've not heard enough.
So I think we're looking to engage with officers at West Berkshire Council to discuss some of the issues. And if we can do that before the meeting with the residents, we might have more answers than we had tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm proposing. A meeting is an informal meeting will be set up with the residents in this chamber over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we are going to write asking for more details. And truly, if you noted any of the questions down tonight, you can give those as examples.
Yeah. And anybody can just second that. Do we need to
I'm quite happy to take that. That's okay.
We're all in favour of going on that way.
Yeah, everybody good. Perfect.
Sorry
Well,
about
man.
this. I don't know about that. Right. Not very well managed at all, was it?
No,
Right.
I've seen them go a lot worse.
When are we going to start again? Are we now?
Back on number 7.
I'll study orders back and we can move on to item 7 now.
If that's okay. Yeah, please. Item number 7. That's all about train tickets.
Do you want me to introduce this?
If you would like.
Okay.
Because we need to do this.
So there's a a consultation that you may have seen on the news with regards to ticket offices across the country, and GWR are consulting on how they sell tickets at stations in the future. And we were contacted and advised that there are planning changes to ticket retailing at Thatcham station, along with about 70 or 80 other stations, but I've just pulled out the information pertaining to Thatcham, although it was pretty much standard across the whole set of stations. There is a draft in front of you as to how Thatcham Town Council would respond to this consultation, and hope you've had a chance to take a look. And members are invited to consider endorsing that draft response, bearing in mind that the consultation deadline is tomorrow.
To do it. It's in the notes. I mean, also involved that. I mean, there was a lady on the television this morning about people who have disabilities and his families next to them. So we definitely need to get this. Do we approve it?
Yes.
We need to do it quite quickly. So have you got it? Yes. I mean, so what are we going to do? We're going to note it. Yeah, we're noting it, but we're sending this letter off. We have to be approved to say that we don't like it, basically. That's
We're approving the letter.
Yeah. Have you got that one?
If you click forward to the end of that item,
it's the next page. It's a separate page after the appendix. Sorry, I've read it a lot, but
logo and a signature.
Yeah.
Well, yes, a nice letter. Judy knows how to do things.
Okay.
I just need you to
Formally agree.
formally agree.
Okay, I propose.
I'll second it.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Right, the next one is the West Berks Bus Survey 2023. There's actually a survey questionnaire as well. To receive notification that West Berkshire Council has opened a consultation on its bus service improvement plan to residents to continue to receive government funding. West Berkshire Council must update the BSIP each year and publish a national bus strategy target progress report every 6 months. The survey aims to understand the needs of passengers and potential passengers. Details of the BSIP and survey can be viewed online. Or we're just asked to, we're being asked to, for our wishes to respond on the survey, which closes at midnight on Sunday, the 10th of September, and just really.
So this survey has come before us, but as I say, it's not due for response until the 10th of September. So members may wish to defer that to the next meeting.
Well, you're not going to complete the survey by committee.
No.
Members could do this survey themselves independently. I don't see how a town council completes a survey very easily with the nature of this, yes, no, yes, no. The chairman, I suppose, could on that behalf, but I'm a bit stumped.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, do you want to discuss it further at another meeting? Sorry.
May I just say, the council has previously made recommendations at an earlier stage in this bus back better strategy, and when we come to the next item on the agenda, that shows where some input was made by the town council, but as you say, this is more directed towards the residents at the moment. So
I am a resident, and therefore it may be that we say that we will circulate it to all members, because we'll have it on soft copy, or we'll have a link on a soft copy, to send on an email, and say members may wish to do this themselves. The council will not be doing the survey as a council. That's where I'm seeing the best way forward. I may be wrong.
That makes more sense. That makes sense. So we were suggesting, I think that Jeff's actually suggesting, is that we note the report.
Yes, definitely.
And we use Jeff's expressions there and say we will circulate it with our members. And they will, and thank you for sending us a copy. I mean, that's really as much as we could please.
Yeah, nice.
At least we got a copy.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Oh, yes. We've got more than some of the residents that were.
Perfect.
So that's the next one is.
Do we vote on that, Chair? Some notes.
To send it, should we vote on that to send it to everybody on the council?
Checking out the wording.
What do we have received notification? I think probably to just note.
To note, that's perfect.
Note. Okay.
Fantastic.
The next one is just about a new evening bus on a Friday and Saturday. We don't have an attachment, but it's going to be an evening bus. It's part of the jet black, but it's going to be E1 instead of black jet, or jet black, sorry, 1. And it's going to run from the 8th of September. We're just noting that, I think, aren't we?
Yes,
Yes, hello.
May I just say that I've already sent the members of Thatcham U3A, which is 275 people, notification of this new late bus.
No, what do they do?
And what I can do, and I always count this as I'm one of the channels of communication, I will send them the link to the bus survey and send them the link to the ticket GWR survey as well. It gets to more elderly folk in Thatcham.
Yeah, U3A. Yeah. University of the Name.
Yes.
And question.
Yes.
Clark intimated that we had previously expressing an opinion, and that this is part of the successful input. So I think we should thank West people for taking our point seriously. That's I would definitely say thank you, and that we would you say that we hope that it's sustainable as a business for them. So that's all I'd like to say on that, because it's nice to see we actually have an effect. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's so often we write in there and nothing happens. So excellent. Just to note.
No. Item 10. Oh, we've got to item 10. Are we okay?
Yeah. 9 is to note.
Yeah, note. Yeah, we've got that down. Would you like to introduce this one?
So a little while ago, members may recall we discussed a couple of planning applications, and with regards to new buildings and schools, and committee asked myself to write to Laura Farris because there were concerns around the fact that the new buildings may not meet BREEAM building research establishment environmental assessment method ratings of excellent, and I've been waiting for a response back, and this is the response that was received. Laura Farris received from Baroness Barron, Minister for the School System. So yes, they've acknowledged what we've written about, and they. Do you like me to read it out, or you're happy with what you've got? Yeah. Okay, so it was just to note that we have actually received a response on that now.
Yeah. I may be reading this wrong, but it looks like a result.
Yeah.
Because if I read where projects delivered by the Department for Education are required to achieve a BREEAM rating of excellent to meet statutory planning conditions, the department will fund the cost difference.
That's what it stands
and
for.
that's
A win.
A win if I read the issue correctly. In Lee's position, Council Baily said when considering new school buildings that did not in BREEAM excellence rating, having committed to support efforts to become carbon net zero by 2030. So I suppose I'm looking for the catch.
They might not have told the school to apply for the funding.
Probably.
So, should we?
But I do think that is an interesting statement, and one that should be. I personally, I tell you what I would do, Chairman, with your support. I would defer the item to the next meeting, and the reason I say that is because Councillor Pike raised this in the first place. Councillor Pike might be the best one.
He's not here at the next meeting either.
Right? No.
Okay.
It's not exactly urgent.
Okay.
We're not taking any action as a result of it. In fact, what you can ask Councillor Pike to do before the next meeting is give his views to the next meeting on whether this has taken us forward or whether there's a wrinkle in it that I can't see. So that would be my recommendation, that the Chairman, Councillor Pike, provides his view of this response to the next Planning and Highways Committee.
Yeah, I've got granted planning application by WCBC. We were talking about it last night. So we have got them up to us.
Okay, can I just clarify? Could we, as a town council, this letter is a public document, could we inform the school of that, highlighting that particular part?
Yes, remind us which schools.
Yeah.
Francis Baily. So, yeah.
They may not be aware.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to share it with council. I really do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Independent of anything council. Yeah, that's another reason around, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, that planning application passed recently in this area as well, so we know it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The school aren't aware
That they can at least.
Good point.
that might help that
He's got
process.
the ability now to go to DFA.
And say their member of parliament said,
Got the letter here.
Yeah.
so
Yes, yes.
a little Machiavelli back at work again.
Can I just mention that one on the top, Madam Chairman, from Laura Farris?
Yes.
Or Peter Kershaw rather,
Yes, yes.
from Baroness Barron says that the building will be very good. It doesn't say excellent, but
No,
what
that's
they've
very
said
good.
there is, this'll do, mate. You'll be okay. You'll still get net zero carbon, but we're not going to get excellent. We're just going to get very good.
Well, maybe they should be pushing Brexit. Okay, let the school get the bones out of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's not a perfect result.
no.
I said there would be a wrinkle there, Councillor Stevenson.
I do found it.
Double point perfect in my life.
Can I suggest that
Yeah.
that is a proposal? So that,
Sorry.
no,
No, I was just going to say if you could express the proposal.
Yeah.
that we forward this letter to the school concerned and its governing board, highlighting this particular part of the letter and inform them that we will be coming back to this in future meetings.
Yeah.
That I think that would be
Help a lot.
yeah. I think I need a second of that.
So,
there you go.
yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry, and did you want me to speak with Councillor Pike?
Yes.
Well,
That's a good idea before we
Yes,
go on
that you
holiday.
can copy them on that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So I propose that. The seconder,
Yeah.
here. And all, sorry.
Yeah, we'll,
Councillor Pike, see that.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen a lot of it already that we're doing today, actually.
perfect.
Because we met up yesterday.
Fantastic.
Didn't mean to say that on Wednesday. Right, the next, are we ready for the next one? It's just a draft licensing policy. Apparently they don't change much. We just note it, but we hope that they actually sort out the typo on the bottom of the pages because it doesn't, licensing doesn't isn't correctly spelled.
Chairman,
Oh yes.
yeah, I just say that the under the Licensing Act, West Berkshire Council have to do this on a regular basis.
Yes.
Consult. It's quite a weighty document, large policy. As you say, it doesn't change too much.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, it doesn't change too much from the policy that's there. So I don't know whether you wish to respond or.
Can I just ask, if they're sending out this document, are they not even going to highlight where the changes are to the present
No.
policy? We've got to wade through and guess.
Well, that policy is there. That's the new policy,
Right, so we have to look at it in its entirety.
pretty much. You can't just say it's a spruce up of the previous.
It's brand new, then considered to be brand new.
It's a
Do you want to?
Right.
Do you want to propose that we vote it? Or are we going to go through the whole thing again? May I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
Would members like to possibly note it, and then if anyone has any questions, let me or the town clerk know before the next meeting, and I can put it back on the agenda.
I think.
Yes, that's
I think that's very helpful.
yes, it's very helpful.
I think the first thing they should do is make sure they've got their footer spelled.
Yes, that's all right. That's what we. Yeah, the footer is. I mean, it's a glaring thingy error. I think everyone's noticed that.
Chairman, I need to ask a question. Because I'm on the licensing committee, so I will see this on Monday the 6th of November after the consultation. Should I have then declared an interest? Because having an interest within the council is not counted, is it?
Isn't it mandatory? Yeah.
We could have personal.
We can note your membership in the minutes if that helps.
Well, we're not going to vote on it, so
No, we're not voting on it.
No, exactly. Yeah,
If they're here.
yeah, you don't need to be. I'd rather not. Yeah.
So that's that one. We move to chapter 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a letter back about the speed. It's what we call speed bumps. And he's the senior engineer called speed push-ups. So we don't agree on that. I'm just saying, I'm sorry, I can't give more assistance on this occasion. Which is not very helpful. Chairman? Sorry, yes.
I've locked horns with them about this people. Travelling along Turnpike Road, they put these rubberised ups down, and I went, oh, they're a bit fierce. I think I've changed my view. I think they are very effective to achieve what they're supposed to. And I think they're less likely to break up in the way that we see the old tarmac lines breaking around their corners. They're more easily replaced because you don't need a heavy, warm, hot tarmac to go down to replace them. So I think they're right in saying this is a better solution. It conforms with the Department for Transport. And we ain't going to change because we don't think it's as bad as people think. And so I'm not planning to go into bat for this one. And there's a lot I want to go into bat for about the Highways Department. And I know this is being recorded. And there's quite a lot we could do to make it a bit better. But I think on this occasion, I think this is not a bad solution, there are worse solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pemberton wanted to say something.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm about to preempt what Councillor McCann's thinking, just by the look on his face.
Yeah.
I do kind of understand where Councillor Brooks is coming from in terms of the maintenance of these speed humps. They're easier to put down and replace. I'm obviously not an engineer, but I think you can just screw them back in again. They obviously don't erode, and you don't have to put tarmac down to lay them in the first place, etc., etc., etc. But I get that, and they are there to slow drivers down, which it appears that they do.
Oh, definitely.
But unless I'm mistaken, the complaint that we hear from residents is not so much about the material that's used to construct them, it's the shape of them. The fact that they're curved and pointed means that when smaller vehicles go over them, they have the effect of wearing the tyre unevenly. Yeah. So I don't know if there's more work or conversations that can go into making them rounder or a more similar shape to equivalent tarmac speed bumps. Again, I take Jeff's point about how busy highways are and what we can realistically achieve, but they are a bit of a pain in the backside.
Literally.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, I don't drive down there anymore. Yes, of course.
Thank you. I completely get what Jeff has said from an officer's perspective. They do what they do, and that's the design to do, and they do everything that they're supposed to do. I absolutely do get that, because they do slow you down. But that's a delivery person's, that he's delivering a product and an outcome. From a user's perspective, It is extremely frustrating for local residents who constantly feel that they are jostled around in their vehicle while trying to stay at the speed limits. I guess this is going to be one of those things that technically they're absolutely fantastically right. All the statistics say they're right, but I'm reminded of the no hard shoulder on all the motorways where everybody, including the national beam counters, who say the motorways aren't any more dangerous than they are, but you drive on them and they feel a lot more dangerous than what they are. So perhaps the officers will win this one until there's an upswell of resentment and anger to the point where they may actually be delivering what they were designed to do, but it's caused so much irritation, it's easier for the officers to replace them. I suspect that may be something down the road in that respect. Yeah. So that would just more of a conversational
the previous
point.
Ones were all across the road, so they wasn't this vicious thing in the middle.
But we do still feel the residents have justified complaints. I think that's the point.
So, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to say that.
Yes, sorry.
Now, I know that one of the complaints came via me, but I know another complaint or two came by the surgery. As a general question, will we now get back to the complainants at the surgeries with this response? Because otherwise we don't appear to have followed up their complaint. Can you tell me?
If they have left their details with us, then I would imagine that there will be a response back to.
Can I just say, I think it's essential that with all surgery matters that come up when we're out there, we must be seen to follow up and answer. There's no point in them talking to us otherwise.
So if we have
the details,
or a phone number or contact details, then and we get a response, then we would get in touch with them. But we don't always necessarily get the contact details of the person. They might have just given us.
Yes, but if they wanted contact from us, they would leave their details. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We go on to yeah. Right. Move on.
So we've got 4 applications this evening. First application is for a property on Sargood Close. It's a semi-detached property at the end of cul-de-sac, banking onto Station Road. And the proposal is for a rear dormer loft conversion with a raised ridge line. Now, just looking back at the history of this property, they had a conservative, sorry, let me show you the property online. So it's in the cul-de-sac, I think it's just here. It's a bit difficult to see. So it's right in that corner there. So it's a semi-detached, and over probably the last 20 years, they've had a couple of applications go through where they've put a garage in, and then they've had another application go through where they've extended over the garage as well. There is also currently an application in seeking prior approval for a larger home extension to the rear, which was on our previous Planning and Highways meeting, but because it was a prior approval, it wasn't considered at that point. We're waiting for it to come back if West Berkshire deem that it does require approval. But we're only considering here is that they are looking to go into the roof space to create a bedroom suite comprising of a bedroom, walk-in wardrobe and an ensuite bathroom, and access to eave storage. with Velux windows to the front of the property and a full-length dormer to the rear of the property. So if I just go back to the so this is the plot. They're looking to extend out just a bit here on their other application. But as I say, the only application we're discussing here is the one into the roof space, which will be a dormer covering this area here. Right, so these are the existing front elevations. As you can see a bit better than poking down the end of the actual photograph. And it currently has a small conservatory to the back. These are the existing floor plans. So they currently have entrance to the front with a lounge, kitchen, study. We've got a small garage. And then upstairs, they've got, so it's 3 bedrooms here and 2 studies.
All together.
So their proposal is to, as I say, go into the loft with the Velux windows to the front and this dormer to the rear. Yeah. And these are a little difficult to see because it looks like they've left a layer on the architect's drawings and they've left the conservatory and it seems to be over the top of the other drawings. But if we look at the roof plan, ignoring the conservatory, which they still seem to have left on. So they're looking to put the bedroom in here, walk-in wardrobe, an ensuite and some eave storage there. And on the middle floor now, the first floor, they're removing the 2 studies and making these into bigger bedrooms. So those 2 walls are going. So it will still be a 3-bedroom property, 4-bedroom property now. 1, 2, 3, and then the bedroom in the top. With regards to parking, they haven't produced a parking layout, but they do have that space there for parking. You might get 3 cars in there possibly. If I take you out of here to look at the rear of the property, because it backs onto Station Road. So it's this one here. So that's the other half of the semi, and that's the and then and that's what's to the rear of the property. Okay. I don't have any more information on it in this. Something else you'd like to see?
No. I haven't been planning for years, 20 years probably. No, perhaps 18 years. I understood that you take the original size of a house and you can't keep adding beyond a certain overdevelopment of that site, that plot. And whether anyone keeps track of people who just every 2 years add another bit on, but I don't even know if that regulation is still in.
Yeah, I completely understand why we'd like that. I think it's a more question than anything. I thought the whole purpose of having a dropped roof on one side of it, so he's got a 2-story extension on one side, was so that it's planning policy, but I can't remember the name of it, so that it shows it's different.
Yep.
And my concern is only
subservient.
So one is subservient to the other.
Yeah.
My only concern is by doing that, does that undermine that whole policy as a point? That was, it's more of a question
think it's possible. I think it's subservient to the front of the property. I'm not. I'd have to clarify
Yes,
that.
I'm just trying to look at the drawing that you have in front of you. That shows both the front and the back to be the same elevation, because there is no drop down in the drawing that you have there.
That shows it there.
Yeah, that shows it. So it's the front elevation is going to be the same.
Yes, it's the back.
So one is not subservient to the other. I don't know if it's still an existing planning policy. It's just, it seems to undermine, but that's more the only issue.
Chairman, I think they'll pick it up if it is overextended, overdeveloped. I'm more relaxed because it's not overlooking a neighbour's garden. It's looking out onto Station Road.
Yeah.
It's a big extension. It's imposing, but not imposing on a neighbour, and that's why I'm quite relaxed about it. With the proviso that the planners will pick up and make a recommendation if it is overdevelopment. If it's Councillor Stevenson, if it's twice the size of its original footprint, they'll pick that up in technical terms.
Okay.
Here, I wouldn't object.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Councillor Henderson, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
I'd agree with what you just said. My only question would be, and it is genuinely a question, we're talking about a 4-bedroom house. Can somebody remind me what the council's parking policy is? Number of cars per bedroom?
Yeah.
That seems a big drive, but
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be
Truly have that to hand.
Well, it used to be 1.5 places per residence if you were in within a certain distance of the town centre.
Per dwelling. Per dwelling.
Per dwelling, yeah. Per residence, yes. Not according to the bedrooms. You can have 6 if you like. You still only get 1.5.
Yeah,
and it's
just looking at
I should know it. I should have. We discussed it.
Yeah, we think about cars that come up.
Oh, that's a new development.
So that's residential parking for new developments.
But that's zoned. That's nothing to do with bedrooms.
It's how far it's out in the urban. Yeah.
The further distance from the town centre.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
I think it's 2.5.
It's difficult to say yes unless you know it's compliant with whatever WBC's.
Yeah, obviously, they don't count garages as parking spaces anymore. Plus, this particular property have used their garage for various things other than being a garage already. So there is only the space to the front of the property that is available. Yeah.
Yeah. So, big old house, isn't it?
I think as Councillor Brooks has said, we haven't any definite objections here.
Well,
Subject
so
to highway.
complying with.
So,
yeah.
So we're going to say yes because of the parking policy.
We should know the parking. In saying subject to, we should know. I mean, we'd be educated enough here to know. I'm proposing that we have no objection.
Okay.
I'm quite happy to have no objection, to be honest. It's not. I was more curious about that.
Yeah. So are you going to second it then?
I'm more than happy to second that there be no objections and crack on and good luck.
Yeah.
Right. The next property is 218 Benham Hill. This is actually just a change of roof pitch to an existing rear extension. So it's from a flat roof to a pitch to have addition of roof lights. So it's probably easier if I show you the photos. Yeah. So the proposal is to add a pitched roof to this existing extension, so just come in underneath the windows there, and also to add a pitch roof to the exterior outbuilding.
They've got leakage and they want to.
The flat roofs should get 15 to 25. The new materials are getting 25 max. It is annoying. A lot of the building insurance companies are nudging you away from that because just in a life expectancy.
So they're not getting any more amenity space.
There is a possibility, just without going inside, that they may make the space in the roof bolted, which gives you the feeling of a larger. But again, that's, I mean, why would
see it there?
Yeah.
No good.
Yeah. That's
certainly it's a tiny.
It's improving. Yes, it's enhancing rather than
last night. Actually, no objection.
Okay.
So everybody in favour of no objection?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like we're leaving. Sorry. Oh, there's some people don't know. Yeah.
Chairman can give direction in the friendship juice.
And they wish that you go take the correct direction.
Right then,
the last one.
Last one.
Yes.
It's two proposals for the same property.
Building.
So it's 54 to 55 Broadway. The first application is for a new shop front on the existing retail unit. And it's to remove, catch up with me. It's to remove the existing auto sliding doors and replace with a double swing on concealed overhead closers and a new roll.
Is it the former betting shop?
No,
it's a Morrison. It's Morrison.
It's
Morrison's. I'm looking in the wrong road.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
So it's this.
There it is. That's when it was McCall's.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so new roller security system behind the shop front, and then the other application is for the signage on the property. So that will be an application for consent to display advertisements, two fascia signs, projecting sign, other vinyl graphics to the front of the shop. They're also looking to put 4 signs down the side of the property as well. So that would be, oops, wrong one. So down along that. Yeah.
That's adverts, is it down there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't say whether it's just going to be
This is vinyl graphic.
that or whether they're going to change those on a regular basis to be different. It does say waterproof posters, and those are the colours of them. So whether it's
can I ask for you, Charlie, truly, on the right hand side there, we've got Savers, and below it we've got advertising. Does that exist already on the present property, the present shop?
where that
Correct.
returns.
I think that's new.
So
the Savers is a different shop.
Yeah.
Google Maps.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's not a.
make you dizzy.
There it is.
We can see it. It's there.
It is there. So frankly, it's a change of it's top, and it's the addition of 4 large waterproof posters along there.
Well, we've already got them down the co-op alleyway.
No objection.
No objection to that bit. We were just a bit worried about the paper.
So So you've got no objection to the new, either proposal?
Correct. Opposed, no objection. Agreed.
Yeah.
All of them?
Right, lovely. Thank you.
So that's the. Any planning? Have you got any more planning matters that aren't on the agenda?
No, Chairman.
So we're on item 14, sorry. 14, yeah. So, yeah, and then the next one's 15. I've got notes on 15. 15 on outstanding. Would you like to ask me if there's any? Yes, please. Are there any outstanding highway matters, please?
There's nothing that's arisen since the agenda.
15 under any outstanding highway matters.
So
we've got 15. We've got any paperwork for 15? Just 15A.
15A. Is it in the pack? Oh, I know I was a bit delayed sending it out.
Well, and then the next bit of printing is this 15A.
Which is your left hand back.
No, it's not.
No, that's 16.
No.
No, I don't see anything.
That's 16.
In relation to 15A.
15A.
Yeah.
My apologies if some of you don't have it in your pack. I know I sent it out to councillors about a day. Fine.
Have you not got one?
It's online, and
have you not got one? I've got two.
It may have just not been printed, that one, but you've got one. Did you say you? No, sorry, it might be one of my colleagues hasn't added that one into the pack.
I've got it in things that you sent by email, but it's not actually in the pack.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
My apologies.
If you run it,
yeah.
No, it's not. It's not on those. But it was on the email.
My apologies. It was not in the pack. Make sure it is next time. So I popped it on.
I think that's a pretty important document.
Yeah, I've included it on the overhead here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
But okay.
So,
yeah, but this is what.
So for those of you who are not normally here at planning, I keep a log of highways issues that have been reported to West Berkshire Council, that we await responses as to whether things have been actioned and so forth. And this is just a document which sort of keeps record of where we are with things. Some things are still open, and then I just close off them as so I don't report everything every single time. So once it's closed, then I won't report back anything, and we discuss as we go. So if I just go back to here, we're still waiting to see if anything has been done on this one, and the last update was the end of June on that one. At that time they said that we would expect something within 28 days, so I've not received a response. And as you're aware, we don't necessarily get notified something has been completed. It is normally either an officer observation around the town. We're expecting with the new reporting of a problem that West Berkshire Council will be able to give us updates, but they're not there at the moment on it. And then we were also having a little trouble with the fact that West Berkshire Council issue a reference number, and then we have a different reference number, and then it comes back on another reference number, and so we have trouble tying it all up. And so this document, hopefully I can link them all together and then be able to provide responses to yourselves as to how things are progressing.
Sorry, can I interrupt? I noticed, if you go back up for me, Trudy, the thing is that this was generated on the 24th of February in my ward. I've been elected since, I'm not even aware of it. So it would be nice, the things that started just before I came into Thatcham Central, everybody else, can I be made aware of that somehow?
Only via the paperwork you know, getting up to date today.
So do I receive this in an email anyway? But I'd have to, I don't usually plough through all the planning agendas because I'm not on planning, but have I got to find that as part of the annex or something? Appendix or something?
It's part of the planning and highways pack that goes out to.
Okay.
I think for you, Chair, this is useful to members of General.
Yeah.
Okay, this has been raised, these points have been raised, not necessarily by the member.
No.
Might have come in through one of our treasuries on a Saturday.
Yes.
And we go to highways and they get a response. This document in particular, I think, should be surveyed to all members.
If I may. Yes, so I keep a record of who's reported it in, whether it's come through council surgery and resident has emailed it in or phoned us in, or and where it's been sent off to and so forth. But I just condense it for yourselves to see exactly what's going on. As I say, at the moment, I produce it just for the planning and highways meeting, but it comes out as part of that pack. But you're saying that you'd would like it also.
Proposing members receive it and we send it out. You send the whole planning and the highways back to all members. This one in particular, I think it should go to all members.
Can I second that? Because I really like that.
Okay.
So that's the.
I'd also hate to be found out that I have no idea about this.
No, and that's 15.
It's a very useful document. We need to vote on that as well, Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. It's just another few members. You've got all members.
At least it's not a large amount, so you're not having to send all of it. It's just these or something.
Otherwise,
good. Yeah.
No,
not the closed one, but the open ones.
Yeah.
because we
clear lots of trees anyway.
Something similar comes through the other committees saying they always like a to-do list. We've done, we haven't done. So it's effectively just keeping members up to date with my book. That's fine.
Well, I'm not. That's just out of cookie crumbles.
Central worn out with a trickle over.
If you're in Thatcham West, just to make sure, in case you're paranoid over there.
Yes, please say so.
May I just say, just looking at the open ones, this lopsided signage on the A4 approach the garden centre roundabout, I observed driving in 2 days ago that it has been fixed now. So that was after I had produced this, but it had, again, it's observation that things have been done.
Absolutely. And it's better than having piles of stuff.
Or if councillors observe things have been done, let me know.
Perfect.
I heard about the noisy manhole cover years ago. It's still there.
I know.
All right. Have you got home to go to?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Consider notice.
Yeah. That's true, please.
That's this landscape, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is a report showing the decisions from West Berkshire Council on planning applications and the responses from Thatcham Town Council as opposed to West Berkshire Council. So you may recall the top one is where, although Thatcham Town Council felt they needed to object to the application because of the issue with the BREEAM, zero carbon performance of the building. And as Councillor Pemberton mentioned earlier, this one did go through at Eastern Area Planning Committee. Then this one's been withdrawn. We hadn't seen anything of that. I think all the rest have gone through on approval.
I think noted.
To note those?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Move on to 17 for reports from town council appointees to outside bodies.
Okay, I can update you on that.
Thank you.
So just to say that the North and East Thatcham schemes, flood alleviation schemes, are progressing well and believe due completion towards the end of November. And obviously councillors are aware that the Thatcham Memorial Field scheme is in progress at the moment, and that will be discussed at full council on the 31st of July.
Yeah. Noted, Joe.
Notices. That's 18, yes.
Excuse me, can I just say something?
Of course, but
I've just noticed that this here at the Grange Nursery Church Gate is retrospective. Our response was no objections. Ian and I have received objections, which we passed on to Planning West Berkshire Council, and they've approved it.
Take them up in another place.
Yeah. How would I do that? You tell me after. Okay.
sorry, 18 exclusion. Yes.
And that means stop the recording.
Yeah, stop recording, please.
So do you wish to say?
I've got to read it out, yes. By exclusion of press and public, to resolve that in the view of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted, it is advisable in the public interest that the press and the public be temporarily excluded and they be instructed to withdraw.
The proposal. Those in favour?
So we just then.
Yeah.
Now.